The spreadsheet is designed so that you can record all of your income and expenses for each of the 12 months of the year. And then at the very end of the workbook, there is a page that has all of the totals, income and expenses month by month, as well as a place for each category of expense that you might have incurred during the year. And by simply entering some codes for each of your expenses, you can get an easy breakout of everything that your business did during the year, which makes it super easy to fill out Schedule C when you're doing your taxes, and maybe get you away from having to end up using a accountant quite so much, or having to pay so much to get your taxes done. So here I just started it up here, and when you open it up, the first thing that you'll see is a blank page for the month of January. And if you look down here at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there's a page for each day or each month out of the year, of January all the way up through December. And then the 13th page here is the totals page, and the totals page has your annual income and expenses right here, and your owner's draws if you've been taking them during the year. And then it also has these categories here, which in this case are kind of spread out across two pages, but all these categories are all of your expenses. And so say for instance here it says 6, and it says materials and supplies, and underneath that it says 0. This 6 here, for instance, corresponds to box number 6 on the last version of Schedule C for taxes. So hopefully that'll still be the case this year when you go through. But materials and supplies, this number will be totaled up for the whole year. So going over here and just looking at a sample month here. Say this is the beginning of the year, and there's already cash in the bank in January, or the first month of the year. If there's already money in the bank, from last year's sales or whatever, you would want to enter the amount that's in the bank already that you're starting with right here, because that'll make things easier. And let's just say that you have $1,200.50. I just entered that right there, and so $1,200. Actually, the font maybe is a little too small there. Let's just go with 1,200 easy. That'll make it a little bit easier to see. If I zoom in here, we should be able to get a better look at it. So let's move that over so you can see it there. $1,200 there, it says, for the year right now. It's how much is in the bank. And even if you can't see that, that number is still there. So that'll carry it over. And at the end of the year, when we look at the totals page, you'll see that it won't factor into the income or the expenses. That amount starting cash here, that also indicate about what your bank balance ought to be after your owner's draws. So just to enter a sample expense, a simple expense might be buying some new materials to make the widgets that you're making. Let's just say, for instance, that you're making birdhouses. And so the expense code for materials expense is 6, which you'll know by looking at the expense code table back here. Expense categories, production materials and supplies, and you'll see right here that's code number 6. So I'm going to enter code number 6 because it's materials and supplies, and the date that I make the purchase, and in this case we'll say that it's the 1st, let's say it's January 15th of 2012, and I'll just write 12 here. So, and then see it automatically turns into January 12th there. And the vendor will be, in this case, we'll say that it's Menards. And the description will be wood for bird houses. And we're going to pay by a check. And the cost, and I'm hitting tab as I go across each time. Tab will advance the cursor over. The cost for the wood, we'll say, is $150. And the check that I wrote, and I'm going to look in my checkbook and see what the check number was, and I'll pretend that the check was check 1070. And so if we go back to you'll see already that it shows up at the top here as an expense here. In, money in, out, money out. And owner's draw is separate because it's not an expense. We go back to the last page, and you'll see already, the net income for the year is at minus 150 because we haven't taken any money in. And The expense is $150, and there's no owner's draws here or anything. And then you can see month by month here. In January, we have an expense of $150, and everything else is zero. And our quarterly balance for the first quarter is also $150, even though we're obviously very early in the year here for the purpose of this example. And also, if you look over here, you'll see that category 6 now is filled in with $150 because I entered the code here. And now we're going to say that we made some sales, and I'm going to enter the code as 1 for just regular old sales. And we're going to say that it's the first, let's see, January the 20th of 12, and we're going to say that we sold some birdhouses to Aunt Peg, and we'll say we sold her birdhouses, and she paid cash, so I'll just abbreviate cash there. And let's say that she bought $200 worth of birdhouses because she's got a lot of birds. And oops, oh, I put that in the wrong spot. She bought, so I'm going to delete that and skip over to the next cell. She bought $200 worth of birdhouses because she has a lot of birds, and because we included the sales tax in that, we didn't actually charge her that extra 5.5 cents on a dollar up front. We just said, hey, you know, $200 is good, just give me $200 and I'll figure out the sales tax. I'm going to go ahead and enter 1 here to show that you know, sales tax is owed on this $200 sale, and we're going to just take that out of our bank account at the end of the year when we do sales and use tax. So now when I go to the back to the last page, we see that income is $200 and expenses are $150. And we're going to see right now our net income is $50, and our monthly net income divided out over 12 months is only $4.17, which is better than being in the red. And if we look over here, we see that our income total right now is $200. And oops, that's a little bit of a typo there. That should not say income total. That should say expense total. So I'll have to correct that one on future drafts of the spreadsheet. Expense total. So if you're watching this tutorial video, you can go ahead and click on that cell and change that on your copy as well, because that is a typo. So the last type of thing that there is to enter in a normal monthly spreadsheet here is a owner's draw, and the code for owner's draw happens to be 40, and you'll find that on the back expense code page. If you look down at the bottom here, number 40 is the code for owner's draw. So 40, and I'm going to say that I took this owner's draw on January 30th, 2012. I'm just going to write owner's draw, and I don't need to put anything into the description because it's pretty self-explanatory. Personally, I like using a check for an owner's draw because that way it shows up in the checkbook, and you know, you can tell what date you wrote it, and maybe if you're pulling it out for some particular reason. Owner's draw is not an expense because it's money that's going directly back into your pocket. This will be check number 1071. And owner's draw will go over here. I'm going to go ahead and take an owner's draw of $25. And nothing to do over here. So when we go back to the last page, you'll now see $150 in expenses, $200 in income. Net income is $50. Minus the owner's draw means that there should be $25 left in net cash in the bank here. But we see that we started with $1,200, and right now the bank should have $1,225 because after the money we took out and the expenses and the income, the net increase in the bank is $25, even though we have $50 income before we took out the owner's draw. And our income monthly stays the same because, again, owner's draw is not an expense. It's just money we're pulling out of the bank, but we still have to pay tax on it, and we still have to report it to the IRS, and we have to report it to Social Security for our end of year earnings and so forth. And we look down here, and nothing else has really changed except now in this box here where it says owner's draw, $25 is now showing up down here. And our quarterly balance still stays the same. So that's the basics of how to enter some stuff in here and how to look on the last page here and how to use the expense code table. The one last thing that I want to show you, you'll notice up here it still says Artworking Bookkeeping Template 2012. And in order for your business's name to show up here, we have to do something which is very simple, and that is I'm going to just go ahead and close the spreadsheet. And I'm going to save what I've done to it. And now while it's closed, I'm going to rename this, and if you're on a PC, you'll want to use like a right click and rename. I'm going to change it from Artworking Bookkeeping Template to My Business 2012. And now you'll see when I start open the file back up again, all of the pages now say My Business 2012 at the top. And so that'll show you if I go back to, you'll see when you look at the top of every page, My Business 2012. So whatever the name is of your business, you'll want to just write the name of your business up here along with the year that you're using the spreadsheet for, which in this case is 2012. And every page will now have that across the top there. And then all you have to do is, let's zoom back out to 100%. All you have to do now is save the spreadsheet and you're good to go. Alrighty, let me know if you have any questions.